Deep Waters O'Clock. Deep Waters with me, Deborah Waters, your host. It's definitely live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Mondays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. Deeply personal to us, sometimes controversial, sometimes we agree to disagree, but most importantly, we shake the waters until they are still. I love to say that. Today we are shaking the waters on the topic self-awareness. Self-awareness. And when people hear the word self-awareness, you ask somebody and say, are you self-aware? They say, oh yes, I'm self-aware now, I'm self-aware. When it comes to this word self-awareness, we're not talking about the awareness on the conscious level, just on the superficial level, like, oh, I'm aware of what I'm wearing, I'm aware of what I can see, I'm aware of my name, I'm aware of this and that. We're talking about the awareness that comes with what you do, how you perceive things, how you perceive people, how people perceive you, what you do that affects other people, what other people do that affects you, those things that those small subtle things sometimes that gets you in check or gets you in trouble sometimes. So we're talking about self-awareness, and we want to understand what are the tips to understanding and developing ourselves. When it comes to self-awareness, when it comes to developing ourselves, people just it just sits at the back. Some people say, oh, I try to meditate, but how often do you even do that? How self-aware are you? How happy with your life are you? How happy with your relationships? How happy with your work? How are you satisfied with who you are? And if you're not, it could simply mean that you need to do some personal work. You need to be more self-aware about the things that you do. Sometimes you're saying, oh, why am I not getting this result? It's because it's most likely because you're not self-aware. You're not knowing, you don't know, or if you even know, you don't even know how to solve the problem by yourself. Most problems or most things that people face today are the simple problem, the simple solution could just be self-awareness. But the question is, how do we even become self-aware? We're talking about this and more today. So yeah, please join the conversation. Calling today on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Olawale Tunde BC, you out there, I want you to call in and share with me, your self-awareness journey or story. Are you self-aware? Do you think you're self-aware? How would you rate your self-awareness, from a 1 to 10? Is it a 5 over 10, a 10 over 10? And now, if you want to even judge now, if you are self-aware, now let me give you a little test. Imagine someone were to ask you about yourself, like describe yourself. Oh, are you patient? Are you an impatient person? Are you kind or are you stingy? Are you calm? Are you usually anxious or not? Now, if somebody asks you those questions and ask you all those questions, now make a list of them. And then you tell them what they think or whatever. Or if the person even knows you, you can ask them and say, okay, what, tell me about me. Now, if they tell you about you and those things that they tell you kind of like checks out with what you think you know about yourself, then to an extent you might be self-aware. Sometimes you're talking to somebody and somebody you're trying to ask them and say, okay, what do you think about me? Am I a patient person? And the person they say is you patient, bow, you are impatient, you're one of the most impatient person I know. And you in your head you're thinking, oh, I'm patient, I'm a patient person, I think I'm patient. You see that clash there? Now that's a question, a big question on your level of self-awareness. That's just a simple test. So yeah, in case people have told you or asked you a few things and or told you about yourself and then you think that you're not that person, so you might think that that's not me. Yeah, it might just be, I'm not saying it's categorically, but it might just be that you are not self-aware. So you think you are this, but people perceive you differently. So yeah, let's talk about self-awareness today. Calling on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Are you self-aware at work? Are you self-aware in your relationships? Some people have patterns in relationship that never goes away. They just find out that they're attracted to the same people, or they get into the same relationships, or with the same, they end up ending the relationship for the same reasons. And you're wondering, what's the problem? What am I doing wrong? And then you say, okay, I'm doing this wrong, but you are not even self-aware about it, or it's either you know or you don't know. And even if you know, are you putting in the work to actually solve the issue and say, okay, you know what, in my next relationship, I'm going to put in some effort. So I want to know your level of self-awareness. If you are to, this is such an introspective episode, a good way to start Monday. So I want to know, how would you rate your self-awareness from 1 to 10? Is it a 0 over 10, a 1 over 10, a 5 over 10, 8 over 10, or a 10 over 10? How much of yourself do you know? Is there such thing as too much self-awareness? Yeah. As thing as, some people say, you are too self-aware. Is that anything like that? Is it possible to know yourself just too much? I want to know. Calling today on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. So personally, I would love to say that when it comes to self-awareness, I always consider myself as, I'm one of those people who are in tune with themselves. You're self-aware. But recently I was kind of like doing like this survey or check, and I was asking a few of my friends. I was like, oh, what do you think about me? What do you think about me? Like, how do you perceive me? And I try not to go to people who are too close to me, because those ones, they've seen you finish, so they will say, you are like this, so but we are going to manage you like that, you are good to go. You are like this, so but we're going to manage you like that, you are okay, don't worry. You don't have to, because they already love you, so they wouldn't probably tell you the whole truth. But in this situation, I was looking for those moments of, oh, please just give me as it is. And it turned out that what I was trying to, or the way I was trying to portray myself, this person was telling me that the way they perceive me kind of like clashed, and I'm like, why are you perceiving me as this? And this is not what I intended. Does it mean that I'm not self-aware? Does it mean, where's the break in communication here? Does it mean that I don't know what I'm putting out there? Or sometimes you think you're doing this but you're not doing this. Yeah, it will just give me a time for me to actually go back and say, you know what, maybe this person is right. And guess what, another person seconded that, and that actually made me look inwards and say, you know what, I need to do some work on self-awareness. Some people feel that self-awareness is so much work, because you actually have to look at the situation and say, okay, why did I do this? What caused this? For example, if you get angry now, sometimes some people are so angry about nothing. You're wondering, are you sure you're actually angry about the situation that just happened? Or somebody just came out and asked you about this, and you are angry for no reason. And yeah, typically you say it's for no reason, but if you dig deep, it's actually for a reason. You might actually have been triggered because maybe the way that person called your name, it was the way one of those your exes calls your name, that's pressed the button, and before you know, you are angry. So it's self-awareness that will make you go in there and say, okay, what triggered me? Why did I act the way I acted? And how can I, stop myself from acting this way? Anyways, if I'm not taking any calls for now, and I would love to go on a break. When I get back, my special guest is going to be in the house. She's a transformation coach and more. And she'll be helping us understand the topic of the day, self-awareness. And she'll be giving us tips on understanding ourselves, how to understand and develop yourself. Like I said, most of this life problem is just about understanding who you are. If you understand who you are, you know how to relate with other people. It's just like two incompatible people that they claim to love each other are marrying each other. So if you in yourself, you know who you are, you know what works for you, you know who is compatible with you would never fall into that kind of category or fall into that situation, because you know that, oh, this is what I can deal with. I can't deal with a person like this. Oh, I can't deal with this kind of person. We don't even know some of these things about ourselves. We work with information that people even tell us. You know, you work with information that people tell us. And yes, people can perceive you a certain way and they might be right, but also how do you also perceive yourself? So let's go on that short break. When I get back, we'll talk more on self-awareness. Hopefully you have questions and thoughts then to share with me right here on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's some minutes to 5 p.m. and you're tuned in to Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. So far, we've been talking about self-awareness. How would I call it now? Is this self-awareness? Thankfully, I've tried my best in the little way I can to break it down, but I'm happy that we actually have a transformation coach, a wellness coach, somebody who's vast in well-being and mental health, somebody who's, who knows about this thing called self-awareness, not just speaking gibberish. Every time everybody comes in, every of our coach comes here and, at the end of the day, we always encourage you guys to be self-aware, because that's usually the solution to some of the problems that are personally disturbing us. But hopefully now we get to talk about the solution even in depth, so I'm super excited about it. If you have thoughts and questions, you have opinions that you want to share, I want to know how you rate your self-awareness from 1 to 10. Are you highly self-aware? Are you not even on the radar at all? You don't even know what it means. If you don't know what it means, I'm happy that you're tuned in, because we're going to help you understand what it really means. We're going to be giving you tips on how to develop yourself personally, so that you can actually have a happier life, happier relationships, happier work life, happier spiritual life, happier everything, literally. And I have a special guest with me in the house. She's a dedicated wellness and transformation coach, like I said earlier. She has a passion for helping individuals become the very best version of themselves. Career has spanned several roles as an entrepreneur, a mental health advocate, a realtor, a herbalist. We have to do that topic, this herbalist topic, some other time. She has 2 beautiful girls, and she has navigated her personal challenges with grace and resilience, transforming herself, through her own transformative journey. And it began in November 2020 when she was driven by a deep desire for self-improvement. And she initially focused on weight loss, and she quickly realized that true transformation encompasses more than physical changes, but it's all about, it requires self-awareness and a mindset shift. Why am I having a bit of a limp today, you guys? It's like people should give me water or hot water. People don't buy me drinks on this show. That's the problem. This insight has led her into this mindset program that she organizes, which is a holistic well-being, mental health, and personal development. I'm super duper excited to have somebody who knows a lot about transformation, personal transformation, self-development, and more, and self-awareness, most importantly. I have with me in the studio the Wellness Jojo, aka Obasogie Emayuse John. Hello.
How
about I didn't murder your name?
You try.
Because I saw your video, like, girl, you just murdered my name. I tried. Let's just keep it at the Wellness Jojo, because I like it. The Jojo Queen. So good to have you in the studio, though. Thank you so much for coming in. So now let's just get right into it. Now, I know you've had personal experiences, personal, life experiences with self-awareness. I would love to know from a coach perspective, what is self-awareness to you, and at what point in your life did it just pop up and say, what, I actually have to be very self-aware?
Okay. Once again, I'm happy to be here, and I just go straight right into it.
No problem.
Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior, like simply put. Self-awareness also involves being conscious of yourself. You have to be, just understand yourself, understand why you act the way you act, why you behave the way you behave. It also helps you to understand your strengths and weaknesses. It also helps you to make informed decisions based on your values, your own values and beliefs.
Interesting. So I hear you loud and clear. I like the definition, but now let's bring it in home to you. You know, why were you seeking for self awareness? What was missing?
Okay, so it actually started 2019. I was just at a place where I was looking at myself. My life was not really going the way I wanted, and at that point I was really big, you know, so I felt like I wasn't feeling good with myself as well. So I just thought, okay, let me lose some weight, maybe I'll start to feel better and all of that. So I started my weight loss journey, and I struggled at first because I was just cutting portions. I was doing it the wrong way until I had to ask myself. I love food.
I love food too.
So I had to ask myself, but I used to eat a whole lot. So I had to ask myself, why do you eat a lot? So I started asking myself questions relating to my habits, you know, that made me look really big at the time. So I started to study and research, and I found that it's not even about just losing weight. Like I said before, you have to know why you're eating a lot, or maybe why you're adding weight, or why you're not even losing weight. Because some people go on the weight loss journey, they are not losing weight, and they exercise, they do what their coaches ask them to do, but they're not losing weight. You know, so when I sat to myself, I found that I was using food as a coping mechanism, because I couldn't, at some point, I even couldn't, if I do my weight loss journey for like a week or two, I'm tired already, I can't follow it. I just want to go back to eating and all of that. So I found that I was using food as a coping mechanism. I had to start asking myself deeper questions. Why are you eating a lot? Why are you feeling the way you are feeling? And from my research and studies, I found that I have to even be more aware of myself. Then when I found the reason why I was eating a lot, I had to switch to that aspect, you know, and I had to even change my mind. So, okay, now, why do you even want to lose weight? You know, just keep asking yourself questions on why you want to be the way you want to be and why you want to do what you want to do. And that's all. That's how self-awareness starts. It's self-inspection, you know, self-reflection, and is introspective. You just sit with yourself and start to ask yourself questions. And that was how I started my self-awareness journey.
Interesting. But are you saying that self-awareness only comes in like when when there's a problem, when you're feeling not up to par? So if everything is going well for me, so do I need to be self-aware still?
Yes, of course, because you still have to understand yourself. Things might be going well for you, but there are some ways you behave that you may not even know why you are behaving like that. We're all human beings, and we are all like that. We have behaviors that we don't even understand why we behave like that. So if you don't sit back and reflect, you can never know why you're behaving the way you're behaving.
Interesting.
Or even with your emotions as well. Sometimes you may just feel a certain emotion that you don't know, or maybe you know, but you don't know why you are feeling like that. So you have to still sit back and ask yourself that question: why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Why am I feeling this emotion? Or why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? So it's just a whole lot of questions.
Interesting. So in your own parts, well, from your own, journey and story, it was more of, weight loss. You're going issues. You're just not satisfied, with your life at the time. So what are the other signs and symptoms of, how do I know that I'm not self-aware? How do I know that I'm self-aware? What are the signs? What do I see? What do I exhibit?
Okay. How? It's usually based on your personal experiences, and it's really just, and your consciousness level. It's just something that I cannot even tell you or come out to you and say you're not self-aware. It's when you're with yourself and you don't just understand some things. You get it? And it's just something. It's a self-introspective, and it's actually a subjective. It's personal. It's just really personal, though.
Yeah.
So,
but I like to think that like there are things that I know it's
people do.
Yes, that's. For example, I was talking earlier about this little test that my guests could do. My audience could do. I was like, if you ask people around about yourself, tell me about you. And then if they kind of like correlate with the things that you think that, you know, that you are. For example, you might think that you're a very patient person, that you're asking your people at work or at home and say, okay, what do you think about me? Am I patient? And they say, hey, you patient? How now? You don't miss road, that kind of thing. So in that sense, there's a clash there. You think you're patient, they think you're not patient. So who's right in this sense? Does that also show a sign of some lack of self-awareness there?
Yes, and when you're listening to people or you're seeking for feedback, you ask people that really know you, such as close family and friends, your boss, your mentors, people that you trust, so that when they give you that feedback, you'll be able to believe them, then sit with yourself and ask, okay, this is what this person said. There must be an atom of truth in this. And you start.
But why is self-awareness so hard to do? Like, we say it a lot. Oh, we are self-aware, we're not self-aware. But when it comes to the awareness itself, like knowing, like catching yourself in the act, sometimes you know something, and then you just know, and then you're not working on it. And then you know it, and then you catch yourself in the act and be like, oh, I'm actually doing this right now, and I need to stop. So, how do you navigate that?
The truth is, it's really hard. It is a very hard, difficult journey, but it is also very necessary. It's easier to be ignorant. It's easier not to do the work. But then, if you don't do the work, you cannot live a fulfilling and a purposeful life, because something deep down, you will know that something is lacking. Do you understand?
How hard is it though?
It's hard. It's hard. It's complex. But as a human being, we must all do the work. If we are all self-aware, the world will be a better place. There will be no problems anywhere.
How? Why do you say so?
Because, for example, I'm about to do something. If I have a level of self-awareness, I'll ask myself, this thing I'm about to do, how does it affect the next person? Then you think about it. If it's good, you go ahead. If it's bad, you don't do it. She gets. Yes. But most people that are not self-aware, they just do things. They don't care about how it affects or impacts the next person. So it's really important for everybody to go on the journey.
Interesting. I hear you, but we're going to dig even deeper on this topic, self-awareness, and we're going to be understanding ourselves and tips on how to develop ourselves. I'm asking today, are you self-aware? I'm still right here with the Wellness Jojo, and we're trying to explore how self-awareness actually affects our well-being, our mental health, and more. If you have personal experiences, how would you rate your self-awareness? You have thoughts, you have questions, please do well to share. Calling today on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. When you make certain decisions and you do certain things, you look out for other people around you and say, oh, how does this affect this other person, or is it just about you, in this situation? So yeah, if you have thoughts and questions, please do well to share. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, the Wellness Jojo will also love to answer some of your questions if you have them. Would love to hear from you. So now back to our conversation. What part do people play? What do you think is the one thing that people are not very self-aware about? Like a common thing that people are not really self-aware when it comes to self-awareness.
Their emotions, their behaviors. People are not. Some people even know that they behave a certain way, but they just think it's okay. That's not.
But really, if we look at it, is it not okay? Is it not who they are? Something like, oh, it's me. That's how I am. That's what differentiates me. Why do I have to work on it? Why do I have to improve on it? After all, it's not killing anybody. Nobody's dying.
Okay. So now, for example, let's use strengths and weaknesses. Self-awareness helps you to understand and know your strengths and weaknesses. For your strengths, it's not affecting anybody. But if you're aware of your strengths, you can improve on it and be better. Then your weaknesses, if you don't, maybe you know your weaknesses and you're just hiding, you're not doing anything about it, it will limit you. Do you understand? It will limit you as a human being. And then you can't even fulfill your purpose while you're here. Do you understand? So it's important to just focus and be curious about yourself too. You just want to know why, what can I do to be better? Because I'm sure everybody wants to be a better version of themselves. So if you're a better version of yourself, it's the whole world will be a better place.
But you said something. You said strength might not affect anybody. But don't you think that there might be a situation where your strength is too strong, that it affects other people?
Then that's why you have to still do the
Work.
work. If it's affecting people, you have to find a way to regulate it.
Okay, now let's get back to that work that you keep saying. What is the work, Gogon? How do I become self-aware?
Okay, yeah. So the first thing I would say is to reflect. Self-reflection. Take out time to reflect on yourself. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this thing that I'm doing? What can I do better? Did I do well with so and so? When you start to answer such questions, you're already on your way to maybe knowing better and doing better. Then you also want to reflect on your values. Some of us, we have values. Most people have values, yeah, but they're not even sure if that's their own value, like if it's their core value or the value they picked from the society
or even from the family.
So you have to sit with yourself and find out what are my values and how does this help my life.
That seems very complicated.
Yes, it is. It's a continuous process. It's a lifelong journey. So it continues, and the funny thing is, you may think you're aware today. The more you do the work, you see that you even need to go deeper in the work.
So what are some of the questions that we can ask ourselves,
when you're reflecting?
Yes.
Okay, let's say you had an experience. You can ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? What is this situation trying to teach me? Questions like that can help you understand yourself better.
Interesting.
And understand your patterns, understand recurring themes in your life. So it all just boils down to being a better version.
What role do people play in our self-awareness? When people tell us about ourselves, should we believe them? Or should we, just be in our own bubble and just, reflect on what we think we want and work towards it? Because sometimes when people, tell us about ourselves, they might be wrong.
That's why I said you have to listen to people you trust and people like close family and friends. People that they don't have anything to gain. They're not trying to spoil your image, or it's not an attack on your person. So you listen to such people. I cannot just be walking on the road and a stranger comes to me and say, you behave like this. I won't listen because I don't know you.
Yes.
Even if I know you, if I'm not close to you and you tell me, I won't believe you. But if my sister comes and says, Jojo, you behave this way, and he said, in fact, it has even happened on my journey. I have my sisters and my close friends tell me, you do this, I don't think this is a good behavior. And I sit back, I'm like, okay, I find that, maybe this is true, and I work on it. But if somebody I don't trust comes to me, I'll not listen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But the thing about people you trust, they can also lie to you because they just feel like, we already love you the way you are. We know you are this, but that's okay. You're my sister, so I love you the way you are, and then you feel like you don't have to do any work.
That can happen. So, but if you really want to do the work and be a better version of yourself, you still sit down. Reflecting and seeking feedback is not the only way. You can meditate, practice mindfulness and meditation. You journal, and you also engage in activities that can improve your self-growth and all that. So it's not just by listening to. If maybe you feel like your sister will tell you or your friend tell you, I love you the way you are, just go inwards. It's really just an inward or like, I don't know how to put it.
Yes.
It's more of an inward work though. Inner work.
Interesting. But at what age do you think that anybody should start to seek self-awareness? Because I feel like for some reason we're never introduced to that
Yeah, it's not even talked about enough. Self-awareness is not talked about enough. In fact, a study shows that 95% of people are not self-aware.
95.
95% of people think they are self-aware. They think they are self-aware. Meanwhile, only 10 to 15% of people are truly self-aware. So you can imagine.
But the thing is now, I was asking you earlier that what are the signs and symptoms. So how do we now know, if we're in the 10% or in the 90%? There must be so a yardstick.
You start to ask yourself questions. Who am I? Okay, I'm doing this. Is this what I really want to do? So that is just how it starts. You just have to be curious, because you cannot just sit down and be asking, or how do I know that I'm self-aware, I'm not self-aware? You ask yourself. That's why it's called self-awareness.
Interesting.
It's not just an awareness, it's self. So you have to ask yourself questions. But you can have coaches guide you, but it still boils down to your inner work and personal work. In fact, self-awareness is an essential part of personal development, emotional intelligence, and it helps you communicate with other people effectively. So it just boils down to what you really want.
But what are the things I would see that would make me feel like I think I'm self-aware, but I'm not self-aware? This situation, this example you just gave that says, oh, you think you're self-aware, but you are not self-aware. So if I am doing that work by myself, at what point do I see something and say, okay, I actually thought I was self-aware, but now I'm not? Could you give us like a scenario?
Okay.
I'm trying to break this down like to the
best. Okay. I get you. Okay, I'll use values and I'll use myself. So before now, I thought my core value, in fact, I didn't really understand what core values were. But I just used to think my core values were like honesty, respect, and loyalty. But when I started to sit with myself, I found that, and then when you pick your values and you're not sure, you just pick because you hear people say my values are this and that, and you just pick two, you will find that your life is not aligning with what you've picked. That's one part one way you know that I'm not self-aware, I don't know what I'm doing. So I found that my core values are freedom, family, and support. So now I let my core values direct me, So I cannot be doing, okay, I wanted to say if you like, don't respect me, but it's not really, that wasn't my core value. But before now, I thought that was it. And I found myself in situations where I didn't feel free. I felt like I was in a cage, but I didn't know that it was because I didn't know my core values. Do you understand? So you can find yourself in situations like that, and then you just sit down and really go inward.
It's just like somebody who is not built for marriage, or
Exactly.
not shaped, as in your persona is not built for marriage. But because society asks you that you have to get married, or your friends are getting married, then you start to push yourself and force yourself into marriage. But then your persona is not built for such.
I won't even say your persona is not built for marriage.
Okay.
If you don't know your values and you get into a marriage, right, you will struggle. It will be very hard. For example, I like to be free to do what I want to do, not necessarily cause havoc. I like support. But I found myself in a marriage where I wasn't really free to be myself. I didn't have support, and it just felt like
It was choking you.
Exactly. And I didn't even know my core values were freedom, support, and family.
Wow.
I like to be around family. I like my family. I like to visit my family members, especially my siblings. But I was even in a place where to travel was a problem. So it was just like
Wow.
I was going to die. So it gets that difficult.
So what do you do in that situation when people like the example you just gave now, people that are in a similar situation as you? How do you fix that situation where you are just realizing that your values are not your values, and then your partner also has to deal with that level of self-awareness? So what happens there? Do you work it out, or do you walk away because maybe your values are no longer the same?
You work it out. You try to work it out. You speak to someone. Then if the partner is willing to do the work as well, you can maybe have a fix. You can be able to maybe fix it or just find your way around it. But in the place where I can't advise anybody on what to do, but just speak with somebody.
Yes.
You know, see a therapist, a counselor with your partner, and try to fix it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have brilliant answer. How, when it comes to age-wise, what age should people start to,
Well, I feel like I was not self-aware early enough. I didn't even know what self-awareness.
At what age did you become self-aware?
I think I started when I was like 28. I started to know that some things I'm doing is not what I really like. Some places I am or I wasn't where I really wanted to be. You know, that I was 28. Then it really hits me when I was 27, 28. Then it really hits me when I was 29 that I was not self-aware. I was just doing things that I did not want because I was not self-aware. We're not taught, you know. And guess I was 29 because why did I even start thinking really deep about it? Because I was turning 30 the next year. I'm like, Jojo, you're turning 30 and just look at you. What do you even think you're doing with your life? You know, I started asking myself questions, you know, and that was how I really got into my journey. But some other people start their journey on time. Maybe they get into experiences that opens their mind to know at young ages, maybe even teenagers. I have a cousin that is self-aware. Like, she has been self-aware since we were teenagers because of the way she speaks. It's just now that I started my journey and I know, this girl, she has always known what she wants. I even have another friend like that. I'm like, so you people were like this, like people could not even teach us that they don't even know about these things, you know. So it just really varies. Culture, there are factors that can affect it or that can influence it. Culture, society, even psychological factors. Yeah.
This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. We still have the Wellness Studio with us in the house. You have thoughts and questions. I know you're listening in depthly. It's a introspective one right here on Deep Waters, because the way me say, I'm not starting to even question my values as a person. I'm like, girl, what are your values? Girl, like, what are you even built for? Like, are you even self-aware at this point? I'm second guessing myself, and I think that's the point of this show, is for us to actually, think deeper and realize that, are we actually self-aware? How much of myself do I know? Am I happy doing the things do I know the things I'm supposed to know? If you have thoughts and questions, please do also share. Calling today on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Now I want to ask, how do you deal with negative information about, after realizing that, okay, now you've done the work, you've gone into meditation, you have realized that something is not right, you're trying to trace it back, with your questionings and saying, okay, why did I act this way? Why did this? What have I learned from this? After realizing this, some negative emotion, for example, just realizing, maybe you're in your 30s or 40s, just realizing that, oh, okay, I'm just realizing that, oh, I'm a jealous person. Oh, I'm highly jealous. Oh, why am I so jealous? Now, jealousy might not necessarily be a bad emotion, but if not properly managed, it can also be a negative emotion. Yeah. So if you realize something about yourself after doing the work and realizing that, oh, this information I just realized, I don't think I like this about myself. It sounds a bit somehow. So, what should you do in your self-awareness process in that situation? Because it's easy to say, do the work.
Yeah. You have to also practice self-compassion. You have to be compassionate with yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. We're all human beings. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. We all have negative sides. So if you're really interested in doing the work, you be patient with yourself and tell yourself, well, now that I know, what can I do to make it better? Just, that is the way to go.
Yeah.
Just treat yourself the way you would treat a friend.
Yeah, be nice on yourself.
Yeah.
If you were to, now your kids, I know you have beautiful girls and all, your self-awareness came late, let's just say, or came at the right time, no matter, because I don't know if
everybody has their time.
Yes, exactly.
Whenever you wake up is your morning.
Yeah. came at the right time. But
Yeah.
what would you do differently when it comes to self-awareness, with your kids? How should we, be help our people around us to be self-aware, especially, kids?
Yeah, so thank God I started my journey and I have growing girls, kids. They see me practice, they see me doing this work. I talk to them. I learned some things about myself. I call them and I say, this is what I learned. When you sit with yourself, and I even tell my eldest, when she's feeling a certain way or she's moody, I'm asking her, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, take your journal, go and write. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What happened that led to, okay, I was feeling good before, then I started to feel moody. What happened in between that time that my mood shifted? She journals.
Wow.
In fact, I recently gave my second daughter a journal. She will be 6 next month.
Wow.
And they journal already.
So what's this journaling about? You get a book and start to write. So is it like a diary? Is it Jennifer's diary or what?
No, it's not.
Because I know that Jennifer's diary is a diary. Yeah, I've come again though. Today I went through this. So what is journaling? Because all these big we don't understand. We're trying to understand.
Okay.
They say we should be in a meditation. We should be in a lonely room, maybe closed room, or is it on our bed in the night?
Anywhere you're comfortable.
Okay, and then ask ourselves those questions.
Just sit with yourself in stillness. You can lay down anyhow you're comfortable. Sometimes just observe your thoughts, because we have a whole lot, thousands of thoughts that goes through our heads daily. By the time you sit with yourself, those thoughts will come. You're not trying to stop thinking. You're trying to observe your thoughts and the patterns. So when you observe your thoughts and the patterns, you know exactly what goes through your head. Do you understand? So that is the main aim of meditation, observing your thoughts.
So the journaling now comes with, you get a book and a pen.
Yes.
And what do you do after observing your thoughts?
You can put them down.
Okay.
Journaling is not writing in your diary, dear diary. Something, this happened today. I would say it's maybe a kind of journaling.
So what's the difference between?
The difference between this is you're learning about yourself and putting it down on paper.
Okay.
We are complex human beings. You cannot do the work in your head. You must write. Because when you see it, you gain more clarity. Just imagine, I ask you 2 + 2. It's 4. Everybody knows. Everybody listening to me knows 2 + 2 is 4 because it's easy. If I ask you 708,635 + 2 or plus 1,000, you get a paper and pen to try to figure it out.
Yes.
Talk more of human beings, yourself. You're complex. You can't do it in your head. So you must write it down on paper to gain more clarity. You can actually go back to it. Like I have old journals that I go back to. I'm like, oh wow. So I used to feel like this.
Wow.
Oh, so wow. So this was what I thought. Like what kind of mindset was this? So you can even go back to it and see your progress so far. And it helps you celebrate your small wins or big wins and achievements.
What else does it help us to do?
It helps you see the growth. It helps you see the growth because the more you do it, the more you grow. And you just be happy with yourself.
And how does it affect our lives generally?
Journaling or self-awareness?
Self-awareness. I mean, journaling is
the
goal is to self-awareness.
Self-awareness brings peace. It brings inner clarity. It just brings a sense of identity. You know yourself, or at least to a great extent, you know yourself. You know what you want, you know what you like, you know the things you like to do, the things you would love to improve on. And it helps you also understand that people, for example, you see people doing some things and you can just be like, okay, like I was saying to a friend, now that I'm on this journey, I see some people behave the way they behave, and I know that this person is not self-aware. But I won't diagnose you. In my head, I know. It helps me be compassionate and know that this person is on a different journey or a different time in their journey.
Yeah.
So it just helps me even not to take things to heart. Like when people behave the way they behave, I don't get angry anymore because I know that they are not aware. If they were aware, they won't be behaving the way they behave. So basically, yeah.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like we try to unpack, but
Yeah, it's really
but
complex.
It is. It sounds really complex. But we were able to break it down. You know, at least I learned a bit about meditation and journaling. You know, I think journaling is something I might need to add to my.
Yeah,
you know, but
everybody needs to journal.
It's not easy, man. You not sit down and be writing.
Once you start it, it becomes easy. It's just starting it that is the struggle. But once you start, you can just maybe journal every day at the end of the day before you go to bed or first thing in the morning.
That's absolutely
You can try once a week. You can then gradually move up.
That's such a beautiful thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would even pick that over prayer because I mean, prayer is.
You can even write down your prayers.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful.
You can write down anything at all.
Yeah. So instead of praying in the morning, try journaling. You know,
write a letter to God.
Yeah.
It's journaling. Like I wrote recently a letter to God. Dear God, it's me again.
Wow. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with us. You're so warm, so confident in yourself, so self-aware, so, what's the word? Firm in your beliefs. And I appreciate you for sharing this level of self-awareness with us.
Thank you.
How can people find you on socials, in case they want to take their self-awareness journey to the next level and they need help? How can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at the Wellness Jojo.
Okay.
Instagram. Just send me a DM. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook as Obasoye Imayuse Joan.
Okay.
I do a bit of wellness on Facebook as well.
Yeah, I know you do events and stuff like that, consultation and stuff. So they can be a part of it. The Wellness Jojo on Instagram. To take your self-awareness level to the next step. And I will end the show with the deep quote of the day from Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu says, knowing others is wisdom, but knowing yourself is enlightenment. Lao Tzu says, knowing others is wisdom, but knowing yourself is enlightenment. So the question is, do you want to be enlightened or do you want to be wise? Deep. I sound deep.
You can be both.
And you can be both. Woo! Girl. Be both. That's the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on Wednesday at 5 to 6 p.m. But another amazing time with me, with Deborah Waters right here on Deep Waters. Bye-bye.
Week also questioned the capacity.
There's so many young guys out there that will not be caught dead paying bills for anybody.
To be with someone that teaches you how to love yourself.
Any change that anybody did not do before marrying you, don't expect that.
When I stop going to school, I cry, just call me blind boy.